Ushtave, radiant peace and happiness to everybody. And I'm going to address something very uncomfortable that has been happening within the Zoroastrian discussion forums. And that has been the infiltration of far right-wing extreme ideology into the Zoroastrian community. I want to make a disclaimer that I'm not directing this towards just a common, sensible right-winger. There are some. I'm more talking about the extremes, such as white nationalism. So, before you get offended, if this doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you, and you have no reason to be offended. And if you're offended anyway, then you probably sympathize with the ideology, so I have nothing to say to you. But I want to address something because there have been some neo-Zoroastrian groups popping up, some of which are pretty benign, maybe a little bit new agey, not my thing, but it doesn't offend me. Others of which aren't necessarily structurally racist, but tend to attract a lot of racist people. One group I could think of at the top of my head would be the Occidental Temple. I don't think Stephen Flowers is a racist. I remember for the longest time he was the go-to guy in the Norse community if you wanted something that was not racial. I've heard some people say that he does subscribe to radical traditionalism. I haven't seen any evidence of it just yet. I hope that's not true because I have thought very highly of Stephen Flowers, and he does have some very good scholarly material when it comes to Germanic stuff. So, but nonetheless, even if Stephen Flowers is not a racist, his organization, the Occidental Temple, is attracting a lot of that white nationalist element, and they have been bringing this influence into the Orthodox Zoroastrian community. And from what I've seen on these forums, they'll prey on two things within the Zoroastrian community. One of the main ones being that most Zoroastrians who are from Iran or India, they pride themselves on this Aryan identity. And so, and I've been seeing it more often on these Zoroastrian forums, this whole, well, Persians are white, and, because we're Aryan, we're Indo-European, and therefore, maybe we have something in common with these people. And in truth, these people that are trying to get your solidarity don't really give a damn about you. I mean, basically, like, by the same logic, this whole Persians are white, you might as well say that Romani or Gypsies are white. By that same logic. Because after all, the Romani, they have, their language has words in Old Avesta that modern day Persians just don't say. Or if they do say it, they're usually modern day Persian Zoroastrians who will only say it for like ritual reasons. Words such as ushta, in the Romani language, ushta means to wake up, and it also means enlightenment. So yeah, I mean, by that same and I seriously doubt. I mean, by that same definition, gypsies should be considered white, and I seriously doubt that most of these white nationalist or white nationalist sympathizers would ever say that. The other thing that these white nationalist groups tend to prey on, and it's kind of a way to gain solidarity, is that they'll prey on the persecution that Zoroastrians have gone through at the hands of Islamic theocrats for 1300 years. And that's just really low. It's really low. But the thing is, sure, I've met Zoroastrians who, more than my share of Zoroastrians, who will have bitterness towards Islam. But it's not for the same reason that a white nationalist has bitterness towards Islam. A Zoroastrian in Iran will have bitterness towards Islam for many of the same reasons why a black person in America might have bitterness towards white people. It's a reaction to prejudice that has been put on them for years, for centuries. And so we need to really recognize the distinction here, because a white nationalist is not prejudiced towards Islam as a reaction that's been of prejudice that's been put on the white nationalists for so long. It's more just that they don't want anyone who's not white living in the same country with them. So we really need to recognize that. For the record, though, I don't think prejudice towards any group of people is okay. And I want to remind some of my Zoroastrian brothers that, yes, the anger you feel about the persecution that Zoroastrians have been going through and still go through to this day, it is justified. But I think we also need to remember that if another revolution kicks up in Iran, there will be many Shiite standing in solidarity with Zoroastrians and putting their lives on the line to protect Zoroastrians. So I want to take that into account, because things are an individual basis and there's many different ways to view the same religion. And I think some of the more moderate to liberal Muslims who are on the who believe in fighting against the same regime, that being the Ayatollah in Iran, I think we need to keep those allies close. But that being said, and I'm going to come back around to this, in truth, the white nationalist doesn't give a damn about you. They would just as soon have you out of the country. If you're a Zoroastrian living here in the United States, an ignorant American doesn't even know the difference between a Zoroastrian and a Muslim. That's just the facts. Okay? So, in truth, it will not benefit the Zoroastrian community to unite with white nationalists. They're no different than a jihadist. And yes, I said that. They're no different than a jihadist. We're better off standing in solidarity for people who believe in equality, for people who sincerely believe in equality. And let us not forget that the very foundation of the Persian Empire as Cyrus the Great started it, the very foundation was multicultural. And some of the strongest societies in history, some of the strongest civilizations in history, have almost always been multicultural. And that being said, just recognize who our real allies are and who is a hindrance to our community, because we are not a religion of hate. Ushtave, radiant peace and happiness to everybody, and have a good day.